everybody, and welcome to part 4 of my Making Venus series. In part 4, I'll be going over how I made her gun, which is a prop to her character. If you don't know what this series is, basically, it's a huge video series of how I made my full partial of my persona Venus. If this is the only part you've seen, I'll be linking all 3 of the other parts in the description. And when this is all done, there will be a public playlist in order of all the videos I've made. So enough of me rambling, let's get on to the video. Since I'm not very good at making props with EVA foam, and I haven't really had any experience with doing that, I decided that if I wanted to make it look good, it was probably best to just use a gun that was already made and to paint it. For this build, I used a Nerf gun called Elite 2.0, which had the futuristic vibe I was going for. This was actually the 3rd gun I had tried using. The first one was a broken gun I got from Goodwill, but the problem with it was very front heavy. It was really heavy on the front, and I was worried that when I put it in the holster, it was going to move forward or go to the side or just weigh it down in general. So then I found another one that was very similar to the one I now use, that was really short and it was nice and light. But the problem with it was the actual front of the gun wasn't very long, and I was worried that it wasn't actually going to stay in the holster and that it was just going to fall out, or the holster wouldn't look how I wanted it to based on how short the gun is. Eventually, I moved on to this one that I'm now using, and that one I believe is going to work the best for me. Now, I truly apologize for not filming this, because this is like the main thing I was going to film, and I somehow forgot. But some parts of the Nerf gun, like the labels, the logos, the brand name, the instructions to it, all those were painted on, and some of them were beveled upwards, so I used my Dremel to sand them down so that they didn't stick up and then you wouldn't see them when they were painted. With this gun especially, the actual gun name was actually engraved into the gun itself, which I obviously couldn't stand out. And I was thinking about maybe putting foam clay on it to cover it up, but that probably wouldn't have worked. But for Christmas, I had gotten Dremel bits that were saws, so what I ended up doing was actually cutting that entire part out, and it actually looked pretty cool. So here what I'm doing with the tape is I'm using the tape to cover up parts that I need to stay the same color, so that instead of the paint actually accidentally hitting the parts, that they're actually hitting the tape. A lot of artists use these to cover up the edges of their canvases. It's really, really useful actually. And I couldn't find my masking tape anywhere, so I just used electrical tape. It did work just as well though. So over here, I'm just going over the blue in very thin layers, and taking a smaller brush to make touch-ups to any of the really delicate areas and the areas I need to be really precise on. And I also go over the wet paint here and there with my heat gun just to be able to speed up the drying process. Now, I'm not being very careful when I'm going over the gray area, because later I'm actually going to go over it with a different kind of gray, more like a silvery spray paint to get more of the vibe I'm going for. Okay, so now I'm getting my spray paint, and don't follow me this way because I was sort of an idiot using spray paint inside, It's really bad for you, toxic chemicals. You should always do it outside, but it was just fucking cold, so I didn't do it outside. But here I'm just going over the areas I want to go over with the spray paint. Being pretty careful not to actually get the black. I don't know why I didn't think about putting the electrical tape over at the time, but I wasn't thinking, so I didn't. Now here what I'm doing is I wanted to do sort of a smudgy effect, so I took a piece of stuffing and very lightly dipped it into the silver spray paint and sort of sponged on the areas where I wanted it to be, and it made a really cool effect actually. Now on to dry washing. Dry washing is a really useful technique that basically allows you to make something such as a gun or like a staff or whatever look more weathered and old. I like to put a piece of old scrap fabric over my lap so that I don't really get paint on clothing I like. So I'm taking a really big paintbrush to start with, and I take some brown paint and I dipped it in water, just a little bit of water. And what you do is you take the paint and you brush it onto the areas you want to weather, and then you take a paper towel or toilet paper like I'm doing, and you take it, roll it up into a ball, and then wipe everything off before it dries. And you do that in a couple layers, and it actually makes a really cool look. And I also apologize when my hair gets in the way. It's too short to tie back and it doesn't stay when I pull it behind my ear, and I hate headbands, so you are just all gonna have to deal with it. And with all that done, it was done. I think that this gun actually turned out really amazing, and I really like it. The model was actually really great for this project, and you can see the little spot there that I had to cut out. That's where the thing was. The dry washing made the details look really great. The way that I used the stuffing, the sponge in front of it, that was actually very new to me, and it turned out really nicely. Overall, I'm very happy with how this looked, and yeah. Thank you so much for watching part 4 of Making Venus. Part 5 I hope will come out soon, but this is like the last part that actually takes a short amount of time to make. So it might be a while, so be prepared. But again, thank you so much for watching. Be sure to comment, like, and subscribe, and I will see you all later. Bye!